Welcome back to another Explainer, everyone. Today we're tearing down and rebuilding a really fascinating foundation module. It's called The Architecture of Customer Care Excellence, A Deeper Understanding. Now, if you're the kind of focused learner who really just wants to cut right through the noise and get straight to the actual mechanics of what makes a business truly stand out, well, you're in the absolute right place. We're going to look incredibly closely at the language and the framework provided by the source material, unpacking it piece by piece. Okay, let's dive into this.
Our source material kicks things off with a pretty grounding observation. It says there is a lot of talk about excellence in the marketplace today. And honestly, stop and think about that for a second. We are completely saturated with empty buzzwords, aren't we? It's kind of like how literally every local diner claims to have the world's best coffee, or how every software company out there promises a revolutionary service. Everyone claims to have excellent customer care. It's plastered on every website, every brochure. But our text immediately flags this as mere talk, right? Setting up this really stark contrast between those who just say the words and the people who actually live them out in their day-to-day operations.
And this illustrates the exact dichotomy the entire module is built upon. So on one hand, we've got marketplace talk. The superficial chatter, this general assumption that, hey, just because you're doing business, you must be doing it excellently. But on the exact opposite end, we have a deeper understanding. The source insists that true customer care excellence actually requires us to move entirely away from that superficial chatter and commit to a profound analytical rigor. It's really all about stripping away the corporate jargon and looking right at the raw operational mechanics of care.
Which brings us to the core challenge posed by the text. And it's a big one. How many people have actually stopped to think about what it really means to be excellent? It's a deliberate, Socratic kind of question, totally designed to make us hit the brakes, right? In this incredibly fast-paced marketplace, no one wants to stop. We want to execute. We want to just go, go, go. But the module argues that without taking this vital pause to interrogate our own, honestly, often totally diluted definitions of the word excellence, well, any action we take is probably going to be misguided.
Actually, let's stay on this concept for just a moment longer, because stop and think is a very explicit directive from our source here. It's essentially an action item that has to happen before the real action begins. It literally forces us into this micro-zoom semantic breakdown. You see, before we can build a strong architecture of customer care, we've got to clear the foundation. We have to stop talking, stop assuming we already know what excellence is, and actually think deeply about its true parameters.
So let's see how this builds into the next crucial phase. We're shifting gears now, moving strictly from that vague industry talk to a very, very concrete state of being. The material completely strips away all the subjectivity here. We're not going to rely on some vague gut feeling about what good customer service looks like. Instead, we are anchoring our strategy in precise, clearly defined states of excellence, exactly as they're laid out in the material.
The very first pillar of this definition is excelling. Now pay close attention to the phrasing here. Excellence is the state of excelling. That ing suffix is absolutely crucial. It tells us that excellence isn't just some static trophy sitting on a shelf collecting dust. It is an active, ongoing, continuous state. You don't just achieve excellence and then call it a day. No way. You are constantly in the motion of surpassing standards. So in this context, it's a verb just as much as it is a noun. It's the daily operational hustle.
Now, if excelling is the action, the second pillar is the actual result, superiority. It's a heavy word, right? And we really need to appreciate its weight here. Superiority is a distinct state of being. It literally means moving significantly and undeniably beyond the average. When we're talking about customer care, superiority demands a standard that is visibly elevated above the rest of the pack. You're not just, slightly better, you are operating in a completely different tier altogether. It's the stark difference between a purely functional product and a truly premium experience. And finally, we reach the absolute peak of the mountain here, eminence. This right here is the absolute gravity of the module's definition. Eminence isn't just about being active, and it's not even just about being superior. It is a highly recognized position of absolute, undeniable excellence. It's the ultimate pinnacle of customer care, where your superiority is so consistent and so profound that it literally becomes your defining characteristic out there in the marketplace. It's that magical moment when your brand simply becomes synonymous with the gold standard.
So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway from all of this. Whenever the text uses the word excellence, it is holding you to these three strict compounding standards: excelling, superiority, and eminence. If your customer care strategy doesn't actively encompass all three of these pillars, the active effort, the above-average execution, and that recognized absolute quality, well then according to the source material, you're really just participating in marketplace talk. you haven't quite reached the actual reality of excellence yet.
Okay, so how do we actually get there? We need to transition our focus right now from these theoretical, heavy definitions we just explored and move straight into the practical application that the module promises. Because let's be real, the entire point of understanding these definitions isn't just for some academic exercise. It's the absolute required groundwork you need to actually change how you operate on a daily, fundamental business level.
To make this real, the text guides us through a very specific, logical progression. Step 1. You have got to consciously move past the buzzwords and all that marketplace talk we mentioned earlier. Step 2. You have to truly internalize that deeper understanding we just discussed, those true definitions of excelling, superiority, and eminence. Because it's only then that you can reach Step 3, which is preparing to actually revise your approach. You simply cannot revise the execution until you've completely revised your understanding of the goal. Make sense? And that brings us to the core promise, really the ultimate destination of this entire source module, a complete and total revision of the approach to customer care excellence. We're not talking about a minor tweak here, or just a few quick tips you can implement by Tuesday. It is promising a fundamental rebuild of exactly how customer care is managed, built, entirely on that rigorous foundation we've just spent time unpacking. It's an architectural rebuild from the ground up, turning all that theory into tangible, actionable business mechanics.
Which leaves us with a pretty vital question to reflect on as we wrap up. Take a hard look at your own endeavors. Are you really just talking about excellence and maybe just contributing to all the noise of the marketplace? Or are you actively building a revised approach that truly aims for a state of absolute eminence? It's a really challenging standard, I know, but as we've explored today, it's kind of the only one that truly matters. Keep that question squarely in mind as you move forward. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep pursuing that deeper understanding.